I thought I would make a short video about Dennis, just for the future, maybe for people to remember by, or maybe his children in the future when they get older can look back on the Facebook page and see this. I just wanted to tell a story about my experiences with Dennis, and I believe that he would have wanted me to tell this story. So it starts about 3 years ago, and I met Dennis at a volunteer Japanese class in a town kind of close to where I live, Takayama Danchi. And when he was healthy, he often came to the classes to try to learn Japanese. And over time, I got to know him since he was the only other American in class. And in the other class in Higashikurume, he was one of the few Americans in class. And we are around the same age, so we had some things in common. I noticed that he had a lot of health issues as I got to know him more. We started to talk more, and I learned about his past growing up, learned about his family in America and here in Japan, and also learned a lot about his Navy life and the Navy in general that I didn't know about. And one time I asked him about his spirituality and what he thought about what happens after death. And I don't recall what his exact answer was, but I do recall that sometime later, a couple weeks or something, one day I was talking to him and he told me that he had a dream about a Bible verse in 2 Thessalonians and wanted to know what it said and what it meant. I don't recall what the exact verse was, but I do remember when I looked it up there with him that it was something about the end times. So it was kind of a timely verse about the spiritual needs. And so he was interested in the Bible and was asking me about it. So I gave him a copy of a Bible that I had, and I encouraged him to start reading it. I started to ask him more spiritual questions over time as I got to know him. And eventually I also gave him a copy of one of my favorite books on spiritual matters called One Heartbeat Away by Mark Cahill. And which, by the way, if anybody wants a copy, I can get a copy of that book somehow. It's also free on the PDF form, and kind of addresses the question of what happens after we die. Anyway, after he read that book, he told me that he was definitely not an atheist, and he also told me that he was raised Catholic. He said that he thought doing works along with belief was the way to heaven, though he was still seeking answers. He also, I remember, seemed to have a lack of peace about his time in the military, including the past things he did as a young man and also some military decisions that were made. And anyway, we continued to meet and to talk on occasion at sometimes at the like a coffee shop. Anyway, at one point his health started to get worse, and he went to a major hospital in Tokyo. It was like 2 years ago or something like that, like 2 summers ago. I didn't hear from him for a long time, but was eventually able to hear from him about what happened. After he got out of the hospital and was feeling better, he was able to tell me face to face what actually happened. Apparently, he experienced a major near-death experience, complete with an encounter with demons, to which he couldn't speak about what was done, as well as like a hell type experience. There was no purgatory, but there was only complete terror. It was a very scary and sobering experience. It was there that he cried out to Christ to save him. Apparently Christ did come and deliver him, as well as restore him back to life. And that was unforgettable for him, an unforgettable moment, as you can imagine. He told me clearly that he came to Christ for salvation, and that there was no way any good works could help him. There's nothing he could do to contribute to his salvation. And that was a major shift in his thinking from before that I had talked to him. His mind and his demeanor had changed completely. So I could tell that something had really happened. He started to read his Bible more. In fact, he had finished the Old Testament and was reading through the New Testament. Also, he started to watch YouTube Bible classes online. It was Fairhaven Bible College had free Bible classes he was watching online. And also, he came to prayer group with my friend Shinya and Ray and I over the internet during this kind of COVID season. And also, he showed a lot of signs of serious spiritual growth. He was definitely growing and learning new things, and God was teaching him. He was also very concerned for his family's salvation, and I remember him praying a lot about that. More recently, he started to have some difficulties and said that his new medications were causing him to have some serious shifts in personality and was having some conflicts. He was having some stressful times and started to lose contact with us in his prayer group, and until he passed away. There towards the end, he wasn't responding on his Facebook or whatnot. So I don't know what was going on with his health, but I didn't know that his body was in such a bad condition as it was, with multiple organ failure being the cause of death. But I do believe that God was reaching out to him and allowed for him to make peace before he passed on. I do believe that Dennis is with Christ now. So if you're watching this, I want you to know that God loves you and he wants to see you saved as well. There is such thing as eternity. The soul is real. When we die, there's going to be a place that we go to forever, either with God or separated from God in the place the Bible calls hell. And the Gospel of John in chapter 3, verse 36 says, "He that believeth on the Son hath everlasting life, and he that believeth not the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abideth on him." So just think about that with Dennis's experience from his own lips, and he shared that with many of you as well. Think about that for your own life.